So moving forward, till now we have discussed about examination. We have discussed about how of NEP, right? What are the pedagogical structure? I understand things might be overwhelming. Some of you might be motivated, some of you might be motivated, but at the same time confused also. Okay, so many things are given. Can I do everything? Like, how am I going to change? Right? Like, till yesterday, I was teaching in a very different way. Now, suddenly, things are expected to change. How will I adopt to change? So, because of that, we thought we will make your life easier, right? So how we have decided to make your life easier? We have come up with some of the evidences, some of the examples which you might be already using in some form or the other, so that any stakeholder, be it principal sir, be it owner, be it parent, or even child, if they ask you, ma'am, what are you doing? Like, are you including NEP in your teaching? Are you following NEP? If certain questions like that will come, so we have certain evidences with us, we have certain examples for us, right? So now I'll be presenting in front of you some of the evidences, right? So the first evidence which we are going to start with is the early childhood education, which is a part of our foundational stage, right? So the this side, the early childhood education, this already Tanushri has covered. What are the expectations according to NEP in early childhood education, right? So that is developing curiosity, logical thinking, problem solving, arts, then craft, music, etc., right? These are the expectations, these are the skills to be imbibed in early childhood, right, according to NEP. And how the books are aligned, right, are aligned to the early childhood. This is what we are going to discuss. So in the books, as you can see, language skills, there are certain skills which we are focusing in the books, right? Language skills, developing relationship, discovering me and myself, discovering thinking skills, creative things, right, skills, body and strength. If you see, there is a direct alignment, right? For example, if I have to give you example, discovering me and myself, and also NEP also says that you need to develop self identity, right? For example, creative skills, NEP says that creative skills, NEP also says that art, craft, and music has to be integrated into the learning process, right? Also, the books has theme-based learning, right, which is again an integrated approach. There are projects which encourage arts, craft, music, teamwork, collaboration, something NEP is talking about, right? Then there are lesson plan, which is completely based on experiential learning, right? And lastly, focus on value, right? So uh, there are activities where you are not only teaching the concept, you are also making sure that the child is learning a value, right? So this is about early childhood. Now let us proceed and learn about the next stages, right? Mostly the next stages. Um, Subject integration, right? So how we can integrate sports integrated learning, how we can include arts integrated learning. These are the examples which are given, right? For an example, sports integrated learning. Can we make them play an outdoor game and teach a particular concept through it, right? Which will be sports integrated learning. Next example, arts integrated learning. Can we make them do an activity, for example, Pictionary, where one child is coming, drawing a picture on the board, and the others are guessing the word, right? This is nothing but arts integrated learning, right? Lastly, storytelling based pedagogy. where there's a comic strip, there's a story given. Before even you start reading about the concept, the child is reading the comic strip, the child is reading the story, there's a riddle based on it, and this child is solving the riddle, right? Next, scientific temper, right? So there are evidences where we are making the child develop scientific temper, right? For example, again, before you even start reading about the concept, at the very beginning of a chapter, we have a particular comic strip, right, where the characters are talking about a certain problem, and the child writes down mystery to solve. It means there is a problem and to be solved, there's a mystery which needs to be solved. The child will identify and write it down. And then uh, the detective in me thought, it means the child will think, okay, let me analyze, let me think about the solution, what could be a possible solution, right? And towards the end of the chapter, when they do the activities, when they learn about the concept, they finally get the answer. This is nothing but scientific temper, right? You are observing, you are analyzing, you are coming to a conclusion, right? So this is one of the evidence of scientific temper. Next, experiential learning. If you remember, experiential learning is learning through an experience, right? So there are two evidences which are given, two examples: do and document. Do means you do an activity, document means you write down whatever you have learned, right? You do an experiment and then you write down what did you notice, what did you observe, right? Next is I teach, right? Some of you might already know about I teach. I teach is a very simple thing which we do, but very, very effective in learning process, where a child learns a particular concept, go home and teach their parents. So this is also a form of experiential learning, another evidence of something which NEP is want us to do, right? Next, application based learning, right? Like you learn a particular concept, now it's time for you to go and apply it in the real life, right? Take an example of this connecting link activity. Survey a field or a garden of your school and house. So go to a garden and identify the herbs, the trees, the creepers, the climbers. So the child is learning about creepers, the child is learning about climbers, about trees and everything. And now he or she is going out to a garden and then applying in the real life. They are going to identify and write down a list, right? This is nothing but application based learning evidence. Next, skill-based learning. So these are some of the assessments which test a skill, like checkpoint, MCQ, application, assessment, right? Quick check, correct? So you are assessing a skill through these assessments. So these are all the evidences which you can present to any stakeholder if they ask, what is the skill-based learning which you are doing? So you can just show them this, right? Then decision making. So here there are questions related to drag and drop. You read the statement and there are options given and you have to just drag and you have to drop, right? Next, there is a question which is a quiz, right? What precautions will you take before an earthquake? So here you have to make a decision, right? So you tick which seems the right answer to you, right? Lastly, building 21st century skills, right? Here there are my style question. There is a creative analysis section of the workbook. So where you have to, you have to imagine you have a traveling agency, you have to design a brochure, right? This is again an evidence of uh, 21st century skill, right? Again, we have a homework, right? Which is conceptual based homework, right? Where you are teaching your parents about the Indians who won the Nobel Prize. Here, the child is learning 21st century skills, maybe creativity, communicating with the parents, right? So before I go to the next slide, I want to tell you that uh, there is all the support that you want to implement this change, and there are evidence which I have shown you. So do not be afraid. Do not think it like a burden. Think it like an opportunity, because nobody will get this chance to be the first batch of implementing NEP. So think as if you are lucky and take it like an opportunity, right? So I close it here, and I call Tanushri. She will proceed from here. Tanushri? Just 1 second, teachers.
अपने आप को.
Yeah, hi Tanushri.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anusmita. Sorry. Um, uh, Thank you so much for the last statement that you actually mentioned, Anusmita, that take it as an opportunity. Don't fear NEP. This is a good change that has come. And with that, because you are going to be the first batch, no one is going to get that chance. Actually, you can proudly say to your grandparents, I was there when NEP came into place, and I was the first person in my school to implement it. With that, yes, we had discussed a lot of things today. We need to even consolidate. So we had seen what we already knew about NEP, what we wanted to know about NEP by the end of this session. Here, let's stop and look at what did I learn about NEP today in this session. So what is something that you actually learned about NEP in this session? In the chat box, you can go ahead and mention. If you want to respond, you can raise your hand and I will unmute you. So what is it that you learned today about NEP? Also, we did not cover each and every aspect of NEP because this is what was needed by the school teachers to know. Like for them to know actually. बाकी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. There are a lot of things that NEP has been saying. Yes, there is an assessment after this session. There's a lot of things that NEP has said about university learning and about high school learning, about teachers and everything. But for now, for school learning, the changes that have been come in the school, that have been implemented in the school, is what we need to understand today. Integration of subject, yes. Insights like what are the detailed changes and how it improves beneficial for students and teachers. Thank you. Again, there are around 200 participants remaining now, and I'm getting responses from 1 or 2 teachers. What I learned about NEP today is that now India is finally ready to understand skill-based learning and learning outcomes. Very rightly said, sir. Very nice. And teachers, don't be scared because a lot of changes are coming into place, like CPD is there because a lot of changes are being done. So you will be trained and ample opportunities are going to be given to the teachers to upskill themselves. Skill-based education and learning outcomes, learned how it can be implemented in our Let's listen from everyone. Please, everyone, kindly respond in the chat box, even just a word or a sentence. Overall idea about NEP. NEP is skill-based learning. It's beneficial for teachers as well as students. Something that you did not know about. Overall view of NEP is understood. Another learning, one second. Another learning was actually E-DAC is sort of NEP ready. Great to know that you agree with it. What I learned about NEP today is that, okay, looking forward to implement more clear about NEP than before. It is very to adapt and implement NEP skill-based learning, holistic development, easy to adapt. Much awaited change in NEP, very informative, analytic development, vocational learning. Great, very nice. And a lot of questions were around implementation of NEP, like when it is going to start and what it is the timeline. So it has a lot of states have already implemented NEP. I'll just quote some from the news that have been across. So Karnataka has already implemented NEP. There is a task force in place. And they're going to submit the report by 2020. They have submitted actually the report by 2020. So Karnataka is one of the states. Madhya Pradesh is one of the states. I think Madhya Pradesh was the first state to actually implement NEP. Then Maharashtra also has its task force ready to be implemented. So very soon it is going to be your state as well. So let's start implementing some or the other pedagogies in the classrooms already, so that when it is actually implemented in your state, in your school, you're already ready. Be a part of CPDs. We are also running skill weight programs wherein we are providing necessary pedagogical trainings to the teachers to upskill themselves. Join those trainings. We are also providing certificates as well. So be NEP ready. Meanwhile, I'll just read out a few charts. Recorded link of the session will get in touch with you. Holistic learning. Okay, great. Okay, so as one teacher asked, there will be an assessment. Yes, there is going to be an assessment after this session. And this is very important as well, this post-assessment, because the responses that we will be collecting from this session, we are going to send the certificates in the same order, like the mail IDs that we will be capturing from this by these certificates, sorry, by these responses is where we are going to even send the participation certificates that you had been a part of NEP session as well. So in the chat box, I have shared a form. I would request teachers to not leave the session and please go ahead and fill this form. There is an assessment as well. There is a feedback assessment and your details. Kindly go ahead and fill this completion form. That means that you have actually completed this session on NEP. Okay, Anusmita, can you just turn on the permission in the form? Okay, I'll just do it. Okay, it is just a moment. Teacher, just give us 1 minute. I would request you to try now. I'm again sending it in the chat. Please try now. Kindly open the form and fill it. Please try now. I have again shared the link. Please try, open it now and try to submit it. Meanwhile, teachers can share their feedbacks in the chat. And it was actually great to have all of you here joining to understand more about NEP. And this actually shows that you are ready to implement NEP in your classrooms, and that's why you have joined today, to get more understanding about it as well. Till now, we have not received responses. I would request teachers to kindly start filling the form. Okay, we have started receiving responses now. Only one teacher, two teachers have shared their feedbacks as of now. I would request everyone to start sharing their feedbacks in the form. I'm sharing the form in the chat. The link is in the chat. I have just shared it. Meanwhile, anyone who wants to share their thoughts by the end of the session, you can raise your hand and we'll be unmuting you. Anyone who wants to share their thoughts, kindly raise your hand and we'll unmute you and you can share your thoughts. Thank you so much, teachers who have filled the feedback form, the completion form. You may go ahead and leave the session. And in the feedback form, if you have any questions, we have also a space. There's a space given in the completion form for you to ask questions. Kindly go ahead and share your questions there. We'll document everything and we'll get back to you with the answers to those questions. If you have any questions, kindly mention it in the completion form. We'll get back to you with the responses. Thank you so much, teachers. The responses that we are going to collect from this completion form, we are going to share the certificates in the same email IDs. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your feedback, Praniti ma'am. Thank you, Pratanya ma'am. Those who have filled the completion form can go ahead and leave the session. Ijal sir, kindly use the form to ask a question. We'll get back to you with the responses. We have received 41 responses as of now in the completion form. That's great. 43 now. Those who have already filled the completion form, they can go ahead and leave the session. Please make sure if you have any question, please mention it in the form. We will be getting back to you with the answers. Thank you for the feedbacks, teacher. In the chat box, I'm going through the feedbacks. Thank you so much. And it's great that you enjoyed the session, that the session was informative for all of you. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, teachers, for joining in. Those who have filled the completion forms, they have submitted the completion assessments, can go ahead and leave the session, leave the meeting. We really hope that this was informative for all of you. You got to know something new and you're going to very soon implement it in your classrooms as well. I've shared the link once again in the chat for those who are not able to locate it. Teachers, for the recording of the session, some of the teachers are requesting for it. Kindly write to digital support@edac.co.in and we'll get back to you. I'm sharing the email ID in the chat box. Or any further support that you need, kindly write to us and we'll get back to you. We have received 107 completion forms as of now. Great. And there is actually a shift in the understanding about NEP as we saw previously in the registration forms. Right now, a lot of teachers are equipped with the information. Thank you so much, teachers, for the feedback. I have been reading them in the chat box. We have received 114 responses as of now. Kindly even request your colleagues to fill this completion form because the certificates will be shared on these registered email IDs only that are coming through the submission form, because a lot of few teachers who had registered did not join the session. So only the teachers who have joined and completed the session, the certificates would be shared with them only. Yeah, sorry, the certificates will be shared by next week to all of you. I'm really sorry that I missed communicating this information. By next week, the certificates will be shared with you in your email IDs, with the registered email IDs. Yes, yes. Those teachers who have already completed the assessment as well, kindly you can go ahead and leave the meeting. The certificates will be shared by next week. The certificates will be shared by next week. So please fill the completion form and we'll be taking your email IDs from there. And in those registered email IDs, we'll be sharing the certificates. We'll be sharing all the communication with you, don't worry. Thank you so much for the feedback. The confirmation assessment link has also been sent to your school groups, the E-DAC schools who are associated with us. The confirmation link has been shared in your school groups as well. If you have not received it, kindly go to the WhatsApp chat and fill it there. Thank you so much for the feedback. Thank you. And thank you for the team as well. Thank you to the team as well for making this session a success. Thank you from my side and Anusmita's sides as well. And thank you so much, Anusmita, for being such a great co-host for the session. Uh, 133 responses have been received as of now. The teachers who have already submitted the assessment, you can go ahead and leave the session. Also, if you have any question, make sure you're mentioning that in the assessment form. We will be getting back to you with the answers. If you have not received the certificate by the next week, kindly write a mail to the email ID I'm sharing in the chat. Also, if you know any E-DAC personnel, kindly reach out to them. For any queries, any resource that you need, kindly write a mail in to digitalsupport@edac.co.in. Those who have completed the assessment, you can leave the session. Those who could not locate the feedback or completion form, I have shared it in the chat once more. You'll also, if you're an E-DAC school, you'll also be receiving it in the WhatsApp group. Yes, so you can even reach out to the growth partner. They will also share it with you. For any query, you can also reach out to the growth partners. If you even need the feedback form, please reach out to them. They will share it with you. Um, Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. I hope all of you have already filled the completion form to claim your participation certificate. If not, kindly reach out to anyone from E-DAC whom you know. They will share that with you. If you're using E-DAC Digital, form link has already been sent to you in the WhatsApp group. And these forms will be the certificates will be shared with you in your registered email ID by next week. If you do not receive it, kindly write a mail to us on E-DAC digital support at edac.co.in. I'll once again type it down in the chat box so you can make note of it. If you need any resource, any support or anything, please write to us at edac at digitalsupport@edac.co.in. I am ending the session now. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Anusmita. Thank you, Swati. Thank you, Shashank. Thank you, the entire EDAC team. Thank you so much, everyone.